We continue now at the top of Daf Lamed Zayin Amud Beis Meseches Eruvin. This is Eruvin Daf 37b. This is a continuation of Rav Chisda's statement from the previous Amud regarding how you designate an Ola Sa'of and a Chata Sa'of when you're buying these karbonos. Who and when can they be designated? So Rav Chisda says, Ela iba lakichas bailim iba siyas kohen. There's two ways to do it. Either you designate it at the time the owner purchases the birds for the carbon, or the Kohen can do it. Rashi here explains, Ela iba lakichas bailim she'amru b'shas lakicha zu ani lokech la'ola v'zu l'chatas. Either the owners can do it at the time they purchase it. They could say, this one I'm buying for a carbon ola, and this one's for a carbon chatas. Oh, ba'asiyas kohen. And here's the chiddush of Rav Chisda. The Kohen could also do it. Avalim lachum stam. If the person buys it stam, v'achakach kora alei and shame, and afterwards he says, I'm going to designate it after he bought it stam, he decides he wants to do that. Ein Hashem chol alein v'yochel hakohen l'shnosan. That the Kriya Hashem doesn't work, and the Kohen could change it to whatever he wants. Ukra darish Rav Chisda b'seder Yuma, and this is all darshan from a pasuk. Rav Chisda darshans this in Yuma. V'lacha shtei sorim v'shnei b'nei yona echad li'ola v'yechad l'chatos uchsiv gabi kohen v'yasa kohen es ha'achad chatos v'achad ola alma ein shem ola v'chatos chol alein elo b'lekicha o ba'asiyah. Either it happens at the point of purchase, or it happens when the Kohen is making the karbonos. And again, therefore, the chiddush that we're saying on the previous summit follows this opinion of Rav Chisda. But the Gemara continues to question Rav Yossi's opinion. V'akati savar Rav Yossi ein breira, but still, does Rav Yossi really hold there is no breira? V'atanya, but we learned in a brisa. Amma oretz sh'amar l'chaver. Let's say an Amma oretz says to a chaver, kach li aguda achas shal yerek o gluska achas. He tells him, buy from me a little bit of vegetables, buy from me a loaf of bread. Eino tzarech la'aser. The chaver does not need to take off meiser. Divrei Rabbi Yossi, that's the opinion of Rabbi Yossi. In other words, the point is the chaver goes ahead and buys for himself, and he also buys for this Amma Oretz. But he hasn't decided when he bought it. He didn't decide which one's going to go to the Amma Oretz, which one goes to himself. So Rabbi Yossi says that in this particular case, apparently there is breira, and we say that at the moment that he purchased, retroactively, we should say rather, retroactively when he decides at the end to give whatever particular food to the Amma Oretz, retroactively it's like that was bought for the Amma Oretz directly the entire time, meaning it's not as though the chaver bought it all for himself and is then selling to the Amma Oretz. If the chaver bought it for himself and then decides now to sell it to the Amma Oretz, there's a halacha that a chaver can't give to an Amma Oretz without separating demai, so he would have to separate the demai. But if the chaver, if we say that we know exactly through breira retroactively which was bought for the chaver and which was bought on behalf of the Amma Oretz, then there's no need for him to take off any meiser. There's no need for him to worry about demai in such a situation. The Chachamim say tzarech la'aser. No, he does need to take off meiser again, because apparently the Chachamim hold there is no breira, and therefore he's going to have a problem. He's really basically buying it for himself first, and then he's selling it. Now you're not allowed to give to an Amma Oretz without taking off demai. So the Gemara answers, Epoch, just reverse it. Rabbi Yossi is the one that says he needs to take off meiser, because Rabbi Yossi does not hold of breira. Gemara tries another proof for Rabbi Yossi. Tashma, coming here. Homer meiser sheyeshli bebeisi mechulal al sela shetala biyodi min hakis. Let's say a person has meiser sheni in his house, and he says, the meiser that I have in my house, I want to redeem it onto whatever coin comes out of my wallet. So it's a breira case. Rabbi Yossi Omer Mechol, and Rabbi Yossi says it works. Apparently Rabbi Yossi holds a breira. Gemara again says, Epoch Emo Rabbi Yossi Omer Lo Chilo. Reverse it and say that Rabbi Yossi says really it doesn't work. Gemara says, 1 second. You're now reversing two brises in the face of one. Shouldn't you take the majority and say that Rabbi Yossi actually holds a breira? Why don't you reverse the first one in the face of these two proofs the other direction? So the Gemara says, no, we have another reason to believe that Rabbi Yossi holds that there is no breira. Havadai ibchatanya. This was for sure learned in reverse. The Katani Sefer, because look at the end of this brisa. What does it say? It says, Umoder Rabbi Yossi ba'omer meiser sheyeshli besoch beisi yehi mechulal al selach adosha shetala biyadi menakis shechilal. It says that Rabbi Yossi admits that if the person phrases it in the following way, he says, the meiser that I have in my house, it should be redeemed on the new coin that comes up from my wallet, that would work. So midakamar hacha shechilal, from the fact that at the end he says that it will work, mechlal dehasam lo chilal, that implies that in the first case it actually does not work, because Rabbi Yossi does not hold a breira. Now the Gemara just wants to know what's the distinction between the two cases. Fine, we have two statements of Rabbi Yossi. First one he says it doesn't work. Second one he says it does work. Seems like identical cases. What's this case in the Seifa on the new coin? Idi katarti tlos. If there are 2 or 3 new coins and he's Again, that he's using Breira, the Yesh Breira, that he's using Breira to figure out retroactively which coin is he redeeming this Meiser Sheni on. Hainu Kamaisa, that's exactly the same as the first case. The only difference is in one case he has a bunch of regular coins, in the other case he has a bunch of new coins. There's no real fundamental halachic difference. So the Gemara says, El Delak Elachada, so you'll have to say that in the Seifa, there's only one coin. There is no Breira happening in that case. So then the Gemara says, my Tala, but that's not what it sounds like. It says Tala, whichever new coin I bring up, whichever I bring up from the purse. So the Gemara says, you're right. I did the Tana Reisha Tala, Tana Seifa Nami Tala. It's not exacting. Since in the Reisha of the Brisa, it uses the word Tala, it uses the word Tala at the end of the Brisa as well, but you're not supposed to read that literally. And really in the Seifa, there's only one coin, and in the Reisha, there are multiple coins, and Rabbi Yossi does not hold of Breira. Gemara now says, Amarle Rav Rav Nachman, Rav said to Rav Nachman, Man hai Tana dafilu b'drabanan lesle Breira. Which Tana holds that even by cases midrabanan, there's no Breira? Following Brisa seems to imply that he wants to know who the author is, who's the Tana. The Tanya we learned in a Brisa. Amar lechamisha, let's say a person says to 5 people, Hareini ma'ariv al eza mikem she'erza, I'm making an Eruv on whichever one of you I want. Ratzisi yelech, lo ratzisi lo yelech. And if I want to, then he can go. And if I don't want to, then he cannot go. He's making an Eruv on behalf of other people. And he says it'll just be my choice. If I decide that I want to make the Eruv for you, then it's going to be a good Eruv for you. If I decide not, not. What does it say in the Brisa? It continues, Mi ba'odiyom, ratza mi ba'odiyom, eruvo eruv. If he decides before Shabbos starts, then it's a good Eruv. Then you're not relying on Breira. Then you're basically saying, before Shabbos starts, I decided the Eruv is for you. But if he decides after Shabbos already starts, ein Eruvo Eruv, at that point it's too late, it's not a good Eruv. Eruvin in general is derabanan, and we're saying over here that there's no breira even by derabanan. So the Gemara says, Ishtik v'lo amar le v'lo midi. He said he was quiet, meaning Rav Nachman was quiet. He did not have an answer for Rava. He did not know who this Tana was. Gemara says, what do you mean you don't know? V'lei malei Tana devei ayohu. Why don't we say it's Tana devei ayo according to Rabbi Yehuda? We said earlier, that was what we quoted in the previous daf. We said earlier that ayo holds, Tana devei ayo, aliba de Rabbi Yehuda, de be'erev nami kamar ein breira. Tana devei ayo said in the name of, according to Rabbi Yehuda, that there is no breira even by Eruvin, even which is a case of a derabanan. So why is he struggling to find the author of this brisa? So the Gemara answers simply lo shmi ale. Rav Nachman did not hear this Tana devei ayo, so he didn't know to answer. Rav Yosef says, Tanai shakalt me'alma, are you grabbing Tanoim from all over the place? Tanai, this is a clear machlokas Tanoim. Rav Yosef saying, I do have a source. The Tanya will learn in a brayso, hareini ma'ariv l'shabbos shel kol hashana. Let's say a person makes an eruv for all Shabbos of the year. Ratzisi elech, if I want to, I'm going to use it. Lo ratzisi lo elech. If I don't want to, I won't use the eruv. So then the halach is, ratzami ba'od yom eruvo eruv. The brayso says, again, if he decides before Shabbos starts, it's a good eruv. Mishachashecha, but what if it's already dark? Now you have to rely on breira. That's a machlokas. Rabbi Shimon omer eruvo eruv. Rabbi Shimon says it's a good eruv. The Chacham omer ein eruvo eruv. The Chacham say it's not a good eruv. So here you have a brayso with the Chachamim who say that even by the Rabbanon, we do not use breira. But the Gemara now has a contradiction in Rabbi Shimon. V'ashamin Rabbi Shimon the lesle breira. Rabbi Shimon here is holding of breira by the case of Eruv, and yet in the case we had earlier, again the case where the person bought wine from the kusim, Rabbi Shimon was one of the people who said that he does not hold the breira. Kasha to Rabbi Shimon, not Rabbi Shimon. Isn't this a contradiction in Rabbi Shimon? Gemara says Ela epach. Okay, so reverse this as well. Rabbi Shimon really here will say it's not a good Eruv. The Chachamim say it is a good Eruv. Gemara says, my kasha, 1 second. What's the big kasha? Dil makilas leila Rabbi Shimon breira b'doraisa. Maybe Rabbi Shimon does not hold a breira by doraisa cases. The case of lokeach yain ben akusim, that's a situation that's relevant on a doraisa level. Avol b'drabanan, but when it comes to Eruvin, which are derabanan, islay, maybe he holds a breira, so there's no real contradiction. So the Gemara answers, Kasavar Rav Yosef, well, Rav Yosef happens to hold, man islay breira lo shna b'doraisa lo shna b'drabanan, that the person who holds of breira, it doesn't matter if it's doraisa or derabanan, Islay, that person will always hold a breira. Uman de lesle breira, and the opinion that does not hold a breira. Lo shna b'doraisa, doesn't matter if it's doraisa. V'lo shna b'drabanan, doesn't matter if it's drabanan. Lesle, that person is not going to hold a breira. So that's why Rav Yosef would not give that answer. Rava Amar, Rava now gives a different answer. Rashi here says, going on Rabbi Shimon. Rava Amar, Taima de Rabbi Shimon biyayin. The Gemara now is going to return to the case of Lokeach Yain Mibein Akusim. The assumption up until now, and Rashi had mentioned this on the previous Amud, the assumption up until now is that those who said you're not allowed to do this with the barrel of wine, you can't say whatever wine is left over is going to be Truma, Meiser, etc., that the reason why they say it's no good is because they do not hold a Breira. That's what the Gemara had assumed until now. Now Rav is going to say the reason is Lav Mishum De'in Breirahu. It's not because there's no Breira. The Islay Breira. Really, Rabbi Shimon does in fact hold a Breira, and there's a different reason, and he explains as follows. Rava Amar Rava says, Shani Hasam Deva'inon Rashis Shashira Nikarin. There's a Gezeras HaKasav specifically when it comes to the separation of Truma. It needs to be Rashis, which means it needs to be Nicker where you are separating the Truma, where the Truma is. Rashi here says, Ela Mishum Dekariya Rachmana Truma Rashis Degoncha V'siroshcha. The Torah calls Truma Rashis Degoncha. Mechlal Shatei Muvdelas Truma Mishireh. That implies that Truma has to be separated from whatever remains. B'shah Shekore Ola Hashem, at the moment you're calling the Shem Truma. Shetehei Niris Rashis Ve'elu Shireh. That it's clear that this is the Rashis and this is the leftover. So it's a Gezeres HaKasav, just specifically in this particular case, that you cannot, basically you can't use Breira in this case, because it needs to be Nicker at the moment of separation. So the Gemara says, Amar le Abai. Abai says to Rava, if this is true, that this Gezeres HaKasav exists, Elameata, according to that, Hayul Lefan of Shnei Rimonim Shel Tevel. Let's say somebody has in front of him 2 pomegranates and they're both Tevel. V'Yomer, and he says the following, Im Yordu Gesham Hayom Yehezeh Truma al Zeh. If it rains today, then this one will be Truma on that one. I'm separating this one from that one. V'Im Lo Yordu Gesham Hayom, but if it doesn't rain, Yehezeh Truma al Zeh, then I'll do the other way around. The other one will be Truma, the other one, and the other one will be Chulin. So, Hachanami, Bein Yerdu, Bein Lo Yerdu, Dein Bedvar of Klum. Are you now going to say that it's not nicker which one is which, and therefore it's not going to be Ketruma? Are you going that far? And if you'll say, yeah, I am going that far, it's not going to be good, I'll prove to you it's not true. V'atzanan, we learned in a Mishnah, Truma Sakri Hazeo Maisrosa Besocho. Let's say a person says, I want the Truma and the Meiser to be in the middle of this pile. Or Trumas Meiser Zebesocho. Let's say, have another case, you're separating Trumas Meiser from Meiser Rishon. You say, I want this Trumas Meiser to be in the middle. Rabbi Shimon Omer Kara Hashem. Rabbi Shimon says it's fine. So you see, it doesn't need to be clear. And the Gemara answers, no, that is clear. That's clear enough. Shani Hasam de Ika Svivav. In that case, you have a surrounding area. Rashi says, de Ika Svivav Shirani Karan. That's considered clear. De Iu Besocho Kamer, because he designated the stuff that's on the inside. So therefore, basically, the Gemara is saying, Abaya's question on Rava, it's not a good question. It's not a good proof. It's not really a good question, because in this case of Truma Sakri and Masrosa Besocho, that you are designating clearly what is the Truma and what is the remaining parts. Gemara now gives another answer. Or we can answer a different answer of the fact that Rabbi Shimon does hold a Breira and why it's no good in the case of Lokeach Yayin Mibein Akusim Kedekatani Taima, because there the Bryce actually goes on and they actually give a reason. They don't say that they don't hold a Breira. They give a different reason why it's no good. Amru Lola Rabbi Meir, they say to Rabbi Meir, Hanod. Don't you admit that maybe this jug or this barrel is going to explode? And then this guy will end up drinking tevel retroactively. In other words, it's not that they're saying that you can't retroactively designate what is the truma, what is the meiser. That's not the issue. The issue is just that they're concerned, what if it all gets lost, it breaks apart, and then you don't even have any truma at the end, and there's nothing to designate retroactively, and then you're going to have a real problem because you ended up that you drank tevel limafreya. Rashi explains, Rabbi Shimon Islay Breira, V'gabe Yayin Dekosar Lamishim Dekosav Rein Breira. It's not in the case of the wine that he holds there's no Breira. Elikedik Tani Time, it's actually the reason that they give. Shema Yibaka HaNod, the node might explode. Kodem Sheyafra Shemenu, before you ever get a chance to separate anything. V'nimsa Shashasa Tval Limafreya, it's going to come up that you drink Tevel Limafreya. In other words, if you would have actually had a chance to separate at the end, that's Yesh Breira. If the node explodes and you never designate the truma, you can't apply Breira there. It never turns into truma even at the end. In order to have Breira, Rashi is saying, at least at the end it needs to turn into truma so that we could say retroactively this was truma the whole time. So that's really what their concern is. It has nothing to do with Breira. And then the Gemara, so the Gemara then says, Amar Lehen, the Brisa really responds, Amar Lehen, Rabbi Meir responds to them, Likasha Yibaka. If it explodes, then we'll worry about it. If it breaks apart, we lose the wine, that's a different story. Rashi says it means Likasha Yibaka, Na'ayin B'davar La'osro. Then we'll look into it and say it's a problem. Kilomar Delo Chashin Lahachi. What he means to say is he's not concerned that the wine will be lost. Delo Shliach, that's not common. Diboy Masr Leila Shomer. You can give it to someone to protect it. There are ways around that. You can make sure that nothing happens to this barrel. So the Gemara now says, one second, but one second, according to what we originally thought, let's say the reason why they say it's no good is because, Rabbi Shimon, let's say, holds it's no good is because it needs to be rachis. You're not allowed to, you have to designate a clear cut, this is the truma, this is the part that's not truma. So if that was their real reason, what are they saying when they say maybe it's going to break apart? That's not what they say. The real reason is sheshira nikarin. So what are they saying this other reason for? So the Gemara says, Hachi kamrile, here's how you understand what they're saying. Lidi done, according to our opinion, ba'inan reishis sheshira nikarin. We hold of this halach of reishis. But lidi dach, according to you, at the very least, you should admit to this argument that we are making, and we'll continue this discussion in the next video on Daf Lamed Ches Amud Aleph.